We need big ambition and bold ideas to help nature to recover, to bring back lost wildlife and to combat climate change. And that's exactly what's happening with our latest and most ambitious project ever, Honeygar, in the heart of the Avalon Marshes.
Honeygar has enormous potential to turn nature's fortunes around, to boost biodiversity, protect the peat soils that keep carbon locked in to address the climate challenge.
We manage over 70 nature reserves, totalling just under 2,000 hectares of land in the different landscapes across the county. So we understand the landscapes, we're connected with the communities, and we have a clear plan. Globally, we're facing two environmental crises. The ecological crisis, which is a breakdown of ecosystems and a loss of biodiversity and bioabundance, and the climate crisis, which we all know about, and it is about human activity increasing greenhouse gases and causing global warming. Those two crises are interlinked, and we need nature to be a part of the solution to the climate crisis. So we need to work together to make sure that the solutions tackle both of those crises. Honeygar helps us do that.
The Avalon Marshes is one of the largest and most important wetlands in the UK. It's home to egrets and cranes, otters and water voles, dragonflies, damselflies and butterflies, and a host of other wild creatures.
And over the last 4 decades, we've acquired land. First of all, at Westhay Moor, which has now become a national nature reserve and is home to a plethora of species, a mosaic of habitats. Well, 40 years ago, only 2 species of herring could be found in the UK. Today, here on the Avalon Marshes, we have 7. We hold the biggest population of bittern in the country, and the great white egrets decided to make this their first nesting location in the UK. Somerset Wildlife Trust have also put back 2 million eels into our reserves.
Yet until now, Honeygar hasn't been part of this success. Derelict farm buildings are silent monuments to what for decades has been a highly managed landscape with little or no room for wildlife. Intensive dairy farming has dried and degraded the peat soils, which means they can't store carbon and clean water. But now, thanks to the Somerset Wildlife Trust, Honeygar has a very different future.
In May, we launched Wilder Somerset 2030, which is Somerset Wildlife Trust's 10-year strategy. We've got 3 goals that are connected and interlinked. Goal 1 is about putting nature in recovery and aiming for 30% of land and sea to be in positive management for nature. Goal 2 is also about building a movement for nature and getting more people involved in nature's recovery, and we aim to do that through Honeygar by allowing people to come and learn how they can take action for nature. And Goal 3 is about the state of nature for Somerset and understanding patterns and trends and data so that we can use that to inform activity. So Honeygar is really pivotal and a really exciting project that encapsulates all of our new strategy.
We will show how, simply by letting nature heal itself and working with the land rather than against it, we can bring back wildlife and fight the effects of the climate crisis. Honeygar is the vital missing link in this unique landscape. Its central location means it can reconnect the Avalon Marshes to the wider county and deliver pioneering, nature-based solutions to meet the many challenges we face.
We chose Honeygar for a lot of reasons, and partly because of its position in the landscape. It sits between an entire host of triple SIs, or sites of special scientific interest, just to the north of us, and then to the south of us it is the main complex of the Avalon Marshes nature reserves, so it helps to create this really fantastic link between the two. It's also not designated land. Some of it was intensively managed dairy farm, and so there's less restrictions on what we can do here. And what we're attempting to do is to restore the natural processes. If you can restore natural processes at scale, then you can start to adapt to climate change, and you can start to protect our communities and infrastructure and businesses from things like flooding and drought.
We aim to show how a less intensive, hands-off approach can reap benefits for wildlife, biodiversity, peatland restoration, carbon storage, water quality and much, much more. And how this can also bring huge opportunities for local farmers, landowners and the wider community. Nature will return to Honeygar once more. Many of our peatlands are in poor condition and so contribute to making climate change worse.
Peat soils are really, really important. At a time when we've got ecological emergency and a climate change emergency, one of the best things you can do actually within Somerset, within the UK, is to protect our peat resource.
And so at Honeygar, part of the principle is to re-wet that peat and to stabilise it and to dramatically reduce our carbon emissions from this land, and hopefully be able to restore it enough that it will become carbon sequestering, so that it will actually start to lock up carbon.
We've got the River Brue to our north here, and we're actually surrounded by a series of ditch systems. We've got things called viewed reens, which are managed reens, and then each individual landowner has their own reens or ditches. So on Honeygar we have a range of ditches. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to block up those ditches to stop water escaping from the site.
Wilding the land to support nature's recovery is a new approach for the Somerset Wildlife Trust. Honeygar provides us with the opportunity to explore, develop, test and deliver a whole range of nature-based solutions which can help meet our most urgent challenges.
We have a partnership with the University of Western England, and they're already out on site measuring carbon emissions, carbon storage in the soils. And by doing that, we can see how our interventions or the actions that we take are actually sort of impacting on carbon. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that data and we're going to share that data. If we can say to our neighbours, look, you don't need to manage the land in the way you've done it traditionally, and actually by managing it more for nature, there are actually new mechanisms that you can bring in to benefit nature, to benefit your land management. Why wouldn't we want to share that? We want communities to thrive and to have sustainable communities for generations to come.
The island of Honeygar itself has been a focus for human activity for the past 10,000 years, so it's a significant site for archaeologists.
Well, here at Honeygar we have 5 ancient trackways that lead to the Birtle that we're currently stood on. One of them, the Abbott's Way, is a scheduled monument, and the work that we'll be doing to re-wet this site will help protect this buried archaeology for years to come.
Honeygar perhaps is the most ambitious project that Somerset Wildlife Trust has ever tackled. We're on a long journey, perhaps a destination that we don't know what the end will be. But what we do know is with your support, Honeygar can be the success we all hope it can be.
Honeygar is the most exciting, ambitious and pioneering project that Somerset Wildlife Trust has ever tackled. If we are to succeed, we need your help. Thanks as ever for your support. We and the wildlife really appreciate everything you do.